Usually, CRUD operations are the same with some small modifications. In this video, we will implement our own CRUD generator from scratch. You can actually take this code and you can create your own package and post it on GitHub. This will help you, of course, to save some time by creating all your CRUD operations with just one command. Now, at front of me, I have a fresh Laravel installation. I am using Docker and I am connected to a database. You do not have to follow my setup, you do not need a Docker container, but this is what I'm using. Okay, so the first step to this tutorial is to actually create a CRUD generator command. So I'm going to move to my workspace. So now I have access to PHP Artisan. So I can run PHP Artisan make command, and the command we need is CRUD generator command. If I run PHP Artisan again and I scroll up, you can see that now we have this new command available. The signature for this command is command:name. Now this is a default. Later, of course, we are going to change it. Before I start working on the command, I want to set up the stubs first. So the stubs are just files, are just skeletons that we are going to use to create controllers, models, requests, and so on. So inside the resources, I will create a new directory, stubs, and the first stub is the controller. So controller.stub. If you go on Devlob, you have in the blog, you have this post, Laravel CRUD Generator from scratch. So this is what I'm actually using right now with some modifications, because this is Laravel 5.8 and I'm actually doing some small modifications. So it is almost similar to this post. If you prefer reading over watching a video, you can actually go to this post. So if you go to this post, you have the skeleton, you have the stubs, the stub code for the controller. So what you can do is to actually just copy this stub here. So you copy that and you paste it in your controller.stub, and this is what you get back. Now, do not get confused, because this file is very simple. It is just a controller with some placeholders. As you can see here, whatever you have inside these double curly braces is a placeholder. The name of this placeholder is model name. You also have another placeholder here, model name plural lowercase. This stub file has an index method, a store method, show, update, and destroy. So these are pretty much what we need in order to build a basic API controller. So when we use the command, we are going to pass a name, right? So model name, for example, that you have right here is translated to, let's say, if you say place, it will be place. Now this one, model name plural lowercase, it means that this is going to translate to the model name. It is going to be plural, so places, and it is going to be lowercase. And the other one is singular lowercase. So this is going to be translated to just place. I know that this might be a bit confusing for now, but we are going to see how it is done in a moment. So let me delete all those. And let's continue with the next stub. So the next stub, it is actually very simple, is the model.stub file. Again, you can go on Devlob and you can get the model stub from here. Copy that, paste it. Again, very simple. We just take the name of the model this time, and this is going to extend model. So if I go to app user, as you can see, actually the user class is a bit more complicated, but the idea is that whenever you create a model, you get this boilerplate, right? Now the next one is going to be request, because we want to use class requests. Again, you can go on Devlob, you can copy the request.stub from here and paste it in this request.stub file. The only placeholder for this stub is the model name, similar to the model.stub file. We just require the model name. For the request, we have the authorize by default equal to true. And for now, there are no rules, but you can actually make this a bit more complicated. I will tell you how you can do it at the end of the video. As you can see, the stubs are simply skeletons, and they have placeholders that we will replace later dynamically. Now let's go back to the command. So I will close this resources and I will go to console, commands, CRUD generator command. I will delete the comments so we do not have a lot of text on the screen, because this is a tutorial and I don't want you to be confused. So I will change the signature for this CRUD generator command to something else, because command name doesn't make any sense. However, CRUD generator makes sense. So this is going to accept an argument that is the name of the CRUD in a singular form. So what we can do here is to open curly braces, and we need an argument which is the name, and this is going to, we can also pass some text, for example, class singular. For example, user. So user will be an accepted name class and an accepted argument, but something like users or something like users in lowercase letters, it is not going to be accepted, it is not going to work. So what we want is something like this, user or maybe place or location, you get the idea. For the description, we can say create CRUD operations. Now, if I run PHP Artisan again, PHP Artisan, you can see that we get the updated signature and description. And you can see here we get CRUD and we get CRUD generator, and this is the description. Okay, cool. And actually the way we run it, you can now see how we run this. The way we run this is like this, PHP Artisan, CRUD generator. So we use the signature that we have right here, and then we can pass the name of the class, for example, place. So this is how you run it. Now let's go back to this CRUD generator command and let's create a method to get the stub we need. So down here I have a protected function getStub. This will accept the type of the stub, and inside here now we simply return file, get contents. We pass the resource path, because remember, the stubs directory is inside the resources. So we pass the resource path, and then we have stubs, and then we have the type.stub. For example, if we want to get the model, we are going to get the files, and we are going to go inside stubs, and we are going to use the type, which is model.stub, and this will return this content right here. Now that we have this getStub, we need a method to get the model. So protected function model. Again, this will accept the type, and down here we have the model template. The plan is to replace, if I go to this model.stub file, the plan is to replace this placeholder model name with the actual name, right? So how we can do that is we can use str replace, and we are going to search for, well, the placeholder for the model is this model name. So we are going to search for that, and we will replace that with the name. And here actually this is name, not type. Okay, and we want to replace the content inside this getStub, and this is where we pass the type, which is model. So this is going to return the updated stub with the actual placeholder inside. So how it works, again, very simple. We simply replace model name. So we place this model name placeholder, we replace it with the name that we pass, and everything happens inside this model.stub file. So once we get the updated model template, then we can put the contents into a file. So we are going to get the app path, because this is a model, and we assign it a name, model template. So again, this is very simple. We simply create the file now with the name. So the name of the file is name.php, and this is the model. So in case you have a model name, for example, place, the file will be called place.php, and the content for that file is the content we get from this updated version of the template with the placeholders actually replaced. Now I will copy this method and I will do the same for the request. So this is the request now. For the request, there is no big change because if you remember, the request is very similar to the model. We have just one placeholder, model name. So this is going to be similar. However, the get stub, of course, now this is going to get the stub for the request, not the model. And if I go to HTTP, you can see that there is no requests directory, right? So what we can do is to say if not file exists, and we say path equals to app path, and this is going to be HTTP requests. If you have used the requests in Laravel, you know that the file, the request class, goes inside HTTP, and then we have a directory requests, and inside that directory you have the file. So if this directory does not exist, then we can actually make it, we can create it. So we create the directory. Okay, this is the only change that we have to do here, and of course we also have to create the file. And again, the file is inside HTTP requests, and then we have the name of the file, and we can also append request.php there. Okay, now this one is, well, actually we can change this to simply template. Okay, and we can also change this one to template as well. Okay, so again, we create the file, and the template, the content for the file is the updated template. Now let's go with the next one. The last one is the controller. Now for the controller, it is a bit more complicated because the controller now has, if you remember, the controller has three placeholders: model name, we have model name plural lowercase, and model name singular lowercase. So we have to pass three placeholders for this case. Now again, we can copy this code, and this time now we have multiple placeholders. So one of them is model name, of course, like always, and the other one is model name plural lowercase. So here it is, and the last one is model name singular lowercase. Okay, and what we have, well, for the model name, we have the name of the class, so this is going to be like place with uppercase P. And then for model name plural lowercase, we can say str to lower, and we make it plural, but this is now not available anymore in Laravel 5.8. Because for this tutorial, I am using Laravel 5.8, and Laravel 5.8, they removed the global functions. So if I go to upgrade guide and I search for the global, you can see that all array underscore and str underscore global helpers have been deprecated. So we do not have access anymore to them. You can actually use that, but what we're going to do instead is to use this class, the str class. So instead of saying str plural, now we can use the class. So str plural, and I'm going to pass the name. This str to lower is a PHP class, so you do not have to be afraid about this. You do not have to change this. This is fine. Okay, so this is going to output, for example, place. Let me have a comment. So this is going to output place. This one is going to output, well, we have to make it plural, so it's going to be places, and this is going to be lowercase, right? So this is going to be places like that. So this is what this will output, and this is what this placeholder will be replaced with. And the last one is the model name singular lowercase. So instead of places, it is now singular, so it is not plural anymore. So this is going to be place. So we simply say str to lower, and we pass the name, and this is going to output place. So the idea is that we replace this placeholder with this one with this one, and model name singular lowercase with this one. Now the stub for this case is controller, and again we have to create the file, so simply copy that line. So the path to this one is http controllers, and then we have the name of the controller, and here we have to append controller, and we use the template. Now we have to go inside handle. Inside handle, we are going to call model, we are going to call the request and the controller. So let's start. First of all, we get the value from the name argument. So we have name equals to this argument, and we get the name of the argument. Because if you go up, if you scroll up, you can see that we have an argument with the name, right? So this is where we get that. So we get that value, and then we call controller, we pass the name, we call the model, we pass the name, and then we call the request, and we pass the name. Of course, when you create a CRUD generator, you also have to append a new line to the routes, right? So we have not done that yet, but we can do it right now. We can call file, append, and now we have to pass the path to the file. So the idea is that I want to go inside API, and down here I want to append a new line. So the path to this file is base path, and then we can use routes api.php, and then I want to add a new route resource in this file. So what we can do is to cite a route resource, and we open parentheses, slash, single quote, and then we have to use the str plural and str to lower. However, str plural is a Laravel function, so we have to use now the class str plural, and then we say str to lower, we pass the name, and then dot. A bit complicated, but this is going to create the line, and then we pass the name, controller. Okay, I guess we close this here. We are going to see later if this is correct or not, but this is the line that we need to add at the end of this file. However, something is still missing. So we have the controller, we have the model, we have the request, we have the API route. Now we have to call the migration, right? Because, well, a CRUD operation needs a migration. So if I go back to this release notes for Laravel 5.8, we do have a small change in the commands. So if I scroll down here, as you can see now, in Laravel 5.8, you can include options like this. Okay, so let's actually do that. I will go down here and I will say artisan call, and we pass the command. So the command is make migration, right? And this is actually the first time that I'm trying this. I guess I can pass the name right away. So we can say create. And then we have to concatenate some text. So create, again, we need the str to lower, and then str plural. So we get the name. This is going to create the text places, for example, in lowercase letters. So after we do that, we concatenate table. So the result from this is PHP artisan make migration create places table, and then dash dash create, and then we have to, I guess, do the same again. Let me go back to this and see how it is done. Yes, we just needed the equal sign, and I'm going to copy this and concatenate that again. Okay. So this is going to call the make migration command, and the name for the migration is create, and then the name of the model, of the resource, whatever you want to call it. Let's say places. So create places table, and then it is going to use the create option and pass places. All right, I think that it is now time to actually test this and see if it works. So this is how we run the command. PHP artisan CRUD generator place. Press enter and let's take a look. So now this says call to undefined function. File exists, CRUD generator line 59. Let's quickly fix this small mistake. Yeah, I mean this is file underscore exists. Okay. Run the command again. Okay, let's take a look now at the command, because it looks like this worked. So, inside controllers, we have this placeholder controller. Let me actually close everything else and just open the files that we just created. So, we should have a controller, and here is the controller. We should have the requests directory, and inside that requests directory, we have the place request, and here it is. We should have the model. Here we have the model, and inside API, we should have the route. And we do have the route, however, we have a small mistake that we are going to fix in a moment. We also should have the migration. If I go inside database, migrations, here we have the create places table migration. Okay, cool. So let's take a look at the files now. So let's start with the model, which is the easiest one. As you can see, for the model, if I open the stub, model.stub, we simply replaced this model name with whatever we passed as an argument, as a name, which was place. And this is what you get back. And we did the same for the request. And here it is. Okay. And then for the controller, let's take a look at the controller. Okay, so we have places, place, latest get. Okay, it looks fine, it looks fine. You can also, if you want, if I go back to my controller stub file, you can also add comments to your methods. So yeah, you can actually do a lot of stuff here, to be honest. Okay, now the only problem that we have though is inside here, because we need an extra single quote. So if I go back to my CRUD generator command, where is that? This is inside handle, and we have it right here. Okay. So right here we need a single quote for the name of the controller, and this should actually fix it. Alright, so now we have to test this because we just created all these files, and it is now time to test if this actually worked. Because with only one command we were able to create all these files. So now it is actually time to test this. So let's go back to the migration and define a field, let's say string location. I'm not going to make it complicated. This is just a test for the command. So just have a location string there and that's fine. So now we can use Postman to test this. I already have some tests, so let me close these ones. Okay. So now the first step is to actually create a place, right? And in order to create a place, we can say this is a post request. So we have API, places, and in order to create a place, we can do this. So I create a new place with the title, or is it location? It is location, okay? So we create a new place with the location Ibiza. So if I click send, we do have a small mistake because we never actually migrated the tables. So let me run PHP artisan migrate. Okay, so we migrated the tables. So if I go back now, I click send again, and now we do get the result, which is the result we get from this store. So this is the response. We get the place with a status code 201. Alright, so let's create another place. Let's say London. I click send, and again we created the second place. So this is the store. Now let's test the index. So for the index, we have a get request now, and we have a get request to API/places. I click send, and again we get the two locations. If I go back to this controller index, we simply get the latest places. Alright, if I want to search for place 1, we get Ibiza. If I search for place with ID 2, we get London. Now let's update place with ID 1, and let's say that the location for this one, this is a put request. The location for this one now is Tokyo. So I click send, and as you can see, the location now is updated to Tokyo, and when we update, we call this method. Okay, so if I now make a get request to all the places, so now we're hitting the index, this is going to return the two places. However, the location with ID 1 is not Ibiza anymore, it is Tokyo. The last request, of course, is the destroy. So let's delete place with ID 1. If I do that, we get nothing back because if you remember, destroy simply has the data as null. And the status code is 204. So as you can see here as well, the status code is 204. So if I now go back to places and get all the places, we only get London. As you can see, all the actions inside place controller work. This is how you can create your own CRUD generator, and this is how the PHP artisan make auth command works, and this is how every other scaffolding command works in Laravel or in any other PHP framework, or actually in any other programming language. So you just create stubs and then you replace the placeholders with some value. My goal for this tutorial was to create a small CRUD generator for API development, but if you want to include views, you can create stub files for your views, as we have done here for controller and model and request. So you can create your own stub files for the views. And when you run the command, you can also include some options together with the name. You can pass your fields. And for each field, you also have to pass a type. For example, is the field a number? If it is a number, you have to specify that the field is a number or the field is a text area, whatever. And by using that information, you can then create your own forms. Anyway, so I believe that this is enough to help you get started and create your own CRUD generator package library and post it on GitHub and get a lot of stars. So yeah, good luck and have fun with this.